Good evening, everybody. Uh, I'll give you an update on the air raids. Kiev's been going for an hour and a half, hour 35 minutes. The Oblast has been under air alert for 2 hours 29 minutes. Chernihiv 3 hours 2 minutes. Zhytomyr 1 hour 15 minutes. Cherkasky 3 hours 33 minutes. Kievnograd 4 hours 6 minutes. And Zaporizhia 2 hours 14 minutes. And I apologize for the dog making the noise in the background, but it was the only way to keep her from barking at me while I'm streaming. Come on, news. There we go. Operational information as of 10 p.m. the 29th of October, last night. The defense forces of Ukraine continue to hold back the onslaught of occupying forces. The situation in the Kupian and Kharkiv directions remain tense. The enemy is concentrating the main offensive efforts there. In addition, today the occupiers are actively attacking in these Sibir and Prokrovsk directions. So far today, I'm talking about yesterday, 158 combat clashes have taken place. Today, the terrorist state has launched 2 missile strikes with 2 missiles. So good to see that the missiles aren't as active as they once were. 57 airstrikes, dropping 101 glide bombs, essentially. In addition, the invaders used 539 kamikaze drones and carried out about 3,000 artillery strikes on the positions of our troops in populated areas. In the Kharkiv direction, Russian terrorists stormed the positions of our units in Voshchansk and Lipsy directions 4 times. There is 1 battle ongoing. Voshchansk, Lipsy is over here, so the first time that I've actually seen them mention direction on this side of the occupied area. And, right, it's not far from Kharkiv. I mean, it's close. 22 times the enemy attacked our positions in the Kupiansk direction. Signiva, Kolosknivka, Zagorizov, Grublivka, Stepova, Novoselivka, Novosibyanyo, Brestovo, Borhulavka, and Lozova. Units of the defense forces repelled 17 attacks. 5 clashes continue. And, of course, it's going to be the hard ones to say. Bohuslavka, Zagarovo, Koloniska, and Novosinovo. So, Koloniska, Lozova, Vishnivi was not mentioned today. Stepova, Novoselivka, Sinkivka. So, you don't see much mention of, like, Kamenivka, Topoli. It's right there along the river line. So they got their defense line here. They're trying to get to the reservoir and have that as a defense line to work from. But yeah, that's Kupian's direction. Lehman direction's next, down here. In the Lemansky direction, Russian troops attacked Ukrainian defenders 15 times today in the area of Gorivivka, Drusalubivka, Cherneshchichna, Novomikhailivka, Novesky, Terniv, Torsky, Serebryanka, Yampovlika. All enemy attacks were repulsed. Okay, this is reverse direction. Okay. So, Yampovlika, Terny, Ivanka, Novolubivka, those are the ones I see offhand. Again, trying to push into the southern area to cut the supply lines going north. Borova is an important town. It basically holds the middle of the Oskil Reservoir here. And service direction, where we're covering next. The enemy tried 13 times to dislodge our defenders from their positions in the area of Velogorivka. Oh, another hard one to say. Vierkernok Yamyansky. Zvenika, Ivanodarki in the Seversky direction. Bilohorivka, the really hard one to say. Vamika, and basically just covering this, well, pocket. The enemy tried 13 times to dislodge our defenders from their position. Oh, I already covered. In Kramatorsk direction, Ukrainian soldiers repelled 2 attempts by the invaders to advance in the Stupochi area. Chasov Yar, this is Stupochi. They're trying to push into here to get around to the south of Chasov Yar. If they succeed and get closer to Konstantinivka, this could become a very dangerous situation. Hopefully they get them stopped and are able to secure the lines here in Chasov Yar area. Of course, Bakhmut we heard about a lot almost a year ago now. Fortress Bakhmut. This is as far as they've made it. So, the old joke about advancing snails. In the Tourette's direction, where the occupiers attacked our positions, 4 skirmishes have already been completed. The battle continues near The SHCH combined sound is really hard for my tongue. It's like the borscht sound, but it's backwards, so it's Sutur Benivka. So 5 attacks in the Tourette's direction. And of course, Tourette's right here. Sutur Benivka. So they're trying to come up from the south again, just like in Chasov Yar, cut the south and move north. Across direction. During this day, the aggressor attacked our positions 20 times. Mirolubivka, Promin, Lysivka, Novogorivka, Krutiyar, Seladov, and Vishnimny. 5 clashes are still ongoing. Losses of the occupiers, according to available information, amounted to 220 people. Total casualties today between wounded and irreversible. 4 buggies. That's a weird one, and I'm guessing that's a translation issue. Bari. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that word, unfortunately. But 4 buggies, 2 armored fighting vehicles, and 2 ATVs were destroyed. Our defenders also damaged 1 armored personnel carrier. And Pokrovsk, they're talking about this front here. Mirolipka, Lysivka, Seladov. It looks like Seladov is almost completely occupied, according to Deep State. Again, maps are never accurate. This is their best guess based on video evidence. But actual lines are not known. Vishnevy, Novolysivka, Novodnipka. So, yeah, 20 attacks yesterday in this area alone. Of course, the Kharkiv direction, where it's been massive number of attacks every day for the last 2 to 3 weeks that I've been reporting. The main efforts of the enemy continues to be applied to the Kharkiv direction. At this time of day, the invaders made 42 attempts to advance. 10 attacks are continuing. The fight is mainly going on near settlements of Novoseladivka, Novodmivka, Metsmilyanivka, Delany, Antonivka, Katrinivka, Bretsky, Ilenika, and Trudovy. Losses of the occupiers so far amounted to about 100 people killed and wounded, 4 tanks, 7 armored combat vehicles, 4 motorcycles, all destroyed. 1 BMP was also damaged. So, and they're talking about Kharkiv, and they're showing major advances here. Novoseladivka, Novodmivka, Ilinka, Maximilianivka, Antonivka, Katrinivka down here. So they're pushing everywhere. It's a hard fight. There's only so many of those attacks that you can hold up against. Meat waves that just send more and more bodies at the problem is what Russia does. Mertzi, good to see you. Bombsheller, good to see you. KKGG's, good to see you. And Katie, good to see you as well. Yeah, it's easier for me to read the words in Ukrainian than it is in, the English, because some of the letters don't match up with the sounds that it should be. So, Ukraine has more pressing matters to do than modernize the Latinization of their language. Um, to go in the okay. If you've been Duolingoed, okay. uh, no, it's Duolingo squared. Uh, yeah, really a lot of attacks in this area for Khodorkovka. Uh, Kurakova is here, so don't try not to mix them up. They're very similar. Um, in the Verminsk direction, the aggressor stormed the front edge of our defense in the area of Novo Ukrainka, Yaznala Polana, and Shakhtarsky 6 times. At the moment, there are 4 clashes ongoing. Remember, this is like at 10 o'clock at night, so in the dark, the ongoing clashes are all nighttime attacks. So it really stresses the importance of thermal imaging, night vision. Um, so anytime a Ukrainian unit's asking for thermal drones or thermal imaging or night vision, pay special attention to that fundraiser, because you're talking 10 attacks in Kharkiv in the dark. Night vision would make a 100% difference in these areas, and Ukraine just does not have enough of them. Of course, Vermitsk direction. Vermika is here. They're talking about Nova Ukrainka, Bololipka, and Yezna Polina. Yezna Polina in that area. Um, Again, I've expected advances in this area just because it's mostly open fields, and Ukraine wants to put good defense lines in to help protect their troops. So they're giving up ground in this area to protect their troops. Where those defense lines are going to end up eventually, I do not know. But it's a tight situation because Khodorkov is just up the way here. Depends on how much pressure Russia continues to push in this area. In the Dnieper direction, the enemy carried out 4 unsuccessful assaults in the positions of Ukrainian troops. Defense forces continue to operate in the Kursk direction. So when they talk about the Dnieper front, they're talking about this whole reservoir rivers area. And again, I suspect most of those attacks are happening down here. Today we celebrate the soldiers of the 128th Separate Transcarpathian Mountain Assault Brigade and the 126th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade for their effective combat work. Let's beat the enemy and bring our victory closer. Glory to Ukraine, and of course, Heroam Slava. Pull this back up. Oh, looks like Zaporizhia and Chernihiv have dropped off for air alerts. Pull up Telegram and Zelensky's channel. Here's the one in English. Oh, well, that's downloading. Oh, it's almost done.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Завершив візит до наших друзів з Північної Європи. Був вже четвертий саміт Україна, держави Нордики, Ісландія, Данія, Норвегія, Фінляндія, Швеція. Дуже продуктивно. Домовились про нові пакети підтримки для нашої оборони, також для нашої енергетики. Багато говорили і про інвестиції в наше виробництво зброї саме в Україні, і про розвиток спільних оборонних проєктів. Є вагома історія таких відносин з Данією. Ми називаємо данська модель, яка дозволяє залучати фінанси від наших партнерів саме в українське оборонне виробництво. Зокрема, робимо артилерію вже майже 20 Богдан на місяць. Хороші результати і по інших напрямках. Буде більше результатів. Снаряди, техніка, дрони, все необхідне. Я вдячний усім, хто нам допомагає. Продовжуємо роботу щодо ППО. Зокрема, на саміті НАТО в Вашингтоні була абсолютно чітка, конкретна домовленість щодо систем ППО для України. Також комплектації бригад. І зараз це ще не реалізовано повністю. Ми дуже розраховуємо, що наші партнери, нордики, допоможуть нам із цим в контактах з іншими партнерами. Домовленості повинні виконуватись. Тим більше в умовах такої війни. Я хочу окремо подякувати усім країнам Північної Європи за підтримку плану перемоги. Це стратегія дій, яка вже на столі. Ми готові чути пропозиції інших держав, інші погляди, будь ласка, але наразі чітке, прораховане бачення подальших дій разом з партнерами є в нашому плані перемоги. Головне знайти рішучість, виконати пункти, і це точно наблизить мир. Вдячний також за повне розуміння нашої логіки щодо запрошення в НАТО для України. Україна завжди пропонує тільки те, що реально допоможе натиснути заради справжнього миру. І ми не втомлюємось це пояснювати. Зокрема, нашим партнерам у Берліні, у Вашингтоні та іншим. Також вже бачимо і контури зустрічі в форматі Рамштайн, яка має відбутись найближчими тижнями. Це важливо. Дуже важливо, щоб кожен пакет підтримки був реалізований повністю. І щоб наші кроки з партнерами були дійсно спільними і максимально дієвими. Сьогодні я вже повернувся в Україну, багато зустрічей. Зараз тут, у Закарпатті, багато є регіональних справ, які мають значення для всієї нашої країни. Робота з місцевими громадами, робота з місцевими підприємцями. За кілька років вдалося зробити Закарпаття однією з опор нашої стійкості, всієї вже України. І говорив сьогодні тут з керівниками громад області, з представниками бізнесу. Була зустріч разом з першою віце-прем'єркою Свириденко, з бізнесом регіону. А це бізнес, в тому числі релокований з інших наших областей. Ми бачимо, як зростає тут виробництво, які є перспективи. І водночас є питання, є проблеми. Допоможемо з рішеннями обов'язково. І зараз ще відвідую наших хлопців, воїнів, які проходять реабілітацію після поранень. Бойові наші хлопці з наших бригад, що воюють на Донеччині, в Вовчанську, на Курщині. Хочу подякувати їм від усіх наших людей, від цієї України та відзначити їх державними нагородами за таку потрібну роботу, таку службу, за їх таку потрібну хоробрість. Хоробрість, яка завжди має вирішальне значення і на полі бою, політичних рішеннях. Дуже сподіваємось на хоробрість партнерів. Слава Україні!
Героям слава. Sorry about the picture in the wrong area. I'll have to be more mindful of that going forward. Um, Yeah, I'm not sure where you guys are talking about 13. Oh, Donetsk just went under air alert. Um, I know he's talking about 20, uh, manufacturing 20 artillery systems a month already in Ukraine with the help of the Norse countries, Sweden, Denmark, uh, Finland, those guys. So that was the only number that popped off in my head. Um,
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні.
oh,
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці України.
see if I can find it here really quick. No, I did not. I'm sorry. I'll have to. I'll be better next time with the uh, with my face. Move my face out of the way. Um, so one other video from Zelensky's Telegram channel I'd like to share. That is a glide bomb that hit a residential building, 9-story residential building in Kharkiv. There are injuries. They aren't releasing the number yet, and they are saying there are children in the wounded. Unfortunately, there are victims, including children. There may still be people under the rubble. Necessary services are on site. And that's the last from Zelensky for today. So 6 minutes ago, one drone in Kyiv City. This is a missile heading to Kyiv about 15-20 minutes ago, and then in the city. Oh, it's not letting me translate now. So see if I try this a different way. No, it won't let me do that. Okay. I think it's when it's a reply, it won't let me do the translate. Oh, it's not letting me even translate that one. Okay. So just a lot of missiles, a lot of drones, I should say. 7 drones, one drone, one drone, one drone. A lot of drones being fired into Ukraine from Russia last couple days. Go to Packet and another view. So literally, they took part of the video that Zelensky's Telegram channel released through their image on it, and That's that's modern journalism today. Take credit for stuff you didn't do. Uh, Shaheeds 2 in the Zaporizhia region. One piece in the Dnipro Petrovsk region. New Shaheeds in Sumy Oblast, course towards Poltava, but no mentions of the numbers. So yeah, it's a very dangerous time to be in Ukraine. The number of um, alerts is just staggering to me. When I was in Kiev, we maybe had 3 alerts in a week. There was some weeks where we had one, maybe. Um, but here they're getting three, 2 or 3 a day in the city itself. In the region, much more. Uh, but these are also 11-hour, 12-hour long air alerts, 5 hours and 40 minutes long, 13 hours long, 7 hours. Oh, there's one for 26 minutes. 3 hours, 38 minutes long, 3 hours long. And yeah, I couldn't agree more, KK. It is sickening that we're letting people live in fear because uh, it's the thing. It's this thing that's just doesn't make any sense to me. NATO was founded to provide opposition to Russia, to the USSR. Um, and here comes a war that could, you know, just let them do what they're not asking for us to put boots on the ground. They're asking us for equipment and the ability to use it. Here you go. Here's the equipment. Use it. That's all we need to do. That's all we've ever needed to do for Ukraine. And we're not doing it. Well, here's the equipment, but we're going to grab you by the arm and pull you backwards. Is basically what we're doing. Uh, so, and of course, Blue's favorite graphic of the day. Um, losses for today, the total combat losses of the enemy for October 30th 1,560 personnel, 8 tanks, 29 armored personnel vehicles, 38 artillery systems, 1 MLRS, 2 anti aircraft warfare systems, 40 UAVs, 91 vehicles, and 1 unit of special equipment. Good numbers for the day, if I do say so myself. Oh, fun. Uh, yeah, they redid ours like 2 years ago. So thankfully it wasn't on an election year. They redid our courthouse. To be honest with you, I don't know what the red blue is. I other than like Trump's hat is red, so I'm guessing red is Trump. Um, never paid attention to the left wing, right wing, who's what. If you have a stance I like, okay, I like it. If not, I don't. I don't put much into party lines, I guess. If you make sense, you make sense. If you don't, I don't listen to you. Dad joke of the day. I don't have a good dad joke lined up. I didn't know I needed to. I guess I need to do a dad joke section. Uh, I can't think of anything offhand, and it'd be corny if I just looked one up. Uh, one thing I wanted to go into, and I forgot about it, is Moscow and the Golden Horde. If you haven't heard about the Golden Horde, it was basically the Mongol invasion of Eastern Europe. Um, Basically, the sons of Genghis Khan tried to push back into Europe after Genghis Khan died. And as you can see, they went in and took over most of Ukraine and pushing into the Carpathians. And the reason why Russia has the horde mentality is the Principality of Moscow sided with the Golden Horde and started attacking and burning down cities and villages of their former countrymen in the Kievan Rus. See. So, and then that was in the 1250s that Russia joined the Golden Horde, and 100 years later, they're turning on 1480, which traditionally marks the end of the Mongol rule over Russia. Russia turned on their allies and attacked the Golden Horde. Sounds familiar? But let's see. Yeah, they still haven't updated the spelling on Wikipedia. So it finally fell to the Mongol invasion in the mid 13th century, though the Rusic dynasty would continue to rule until the death of this minor guy in Russia in 1598. So yeah, Russia kind of sort of came from the Kievan Rus, but they turned on the Kievan Rus and razed Kiev and Zhytomyr. They burned Kiev and Zhytomyr to the ground for resisting them. Um, you have to take some of this on Wikipedia with a grain of salt because it's publicly edited, and Russia's tried to rewrite the history for so long, but there has to be a better map than that. Uh, So, obviously Crimea, um, Novgorod, and Kiev's down here. Um, so like major cities: Kiev, Chernihiv. You notice there isn't a Moscow. There isn't a Principality of Moscow or anything like that in here. The reason being is it was a small city, not even city, but settlement of other regions of the Kievan Rus. They're a minor town trying to play the big boy and trying to change history over it. So kind of gives you an idea of what the real history of the area is. Here's Kiev. Kiev was founded way, way before a lot of other cities. Go back here. The air alert in Kiev City just got done. My phone just beeped. So Kursk. Scroll over. Where's Moscow? It's not there. For a reason. Chernihiv's there. Kursk is there. Part of ancient Kievan Rus. Kiev, Volodymyr, but no Russia, no Moscow. Heck, there isn't even Lviv on here. So just wanted to point that out for some reason. I don't know why. Because I wanted to. Hey, Ronnie. Oh yeah, that was a pretty bad dad joke. No, I didn't. I don't cover the kind of stuff usually. Very subjective, but mainly because I don't want to steal other people's videos. I could go here and these guys post like 1,000 or 100 comments a day, and I could go in and so they're complaining about a gunpowder plant in Russia making rocket fuel is complaining that they're working long hours, no days off, and they're forced to do it to help Iran. One child died in Kharkiv. The other issue is I'd have to sit here and go through and look at all. I had to go through here and look at all these videos to make sure there's like no bodies or no like restricted content for YouTube to be able to show them. Otherwise I'll get age restrictions, or like if I let this music play too loudly and don't talk over it, could get a copyright strike. But I mean, yeah, I could go through here and steal these guys' content. Like, at least they're crediting Zelensky's channel for the video, not putting their own watermark over the top of it. Again, this is just a zoomed in portion of Zelensky's video. This is just a straight rip of Zelensky's video where they put a watermark on it, and this guy's blurred out their watermark. So, yeah, there's a lot of stealing of other people's videos going on here for the sake of reporting. And I just don't want to get involved in that drama. And that's really all it is drama. Yeah, just to prove my point with the whole Ukraine was first. Grand Duchy of Moscow. The Principality of Moscow, or Grand Duchy of Moscow. Basically, it didn't pop up until 1263. As a reference point, Kievan Rus era ended in 1246. And part of that was because the Principality of Moscow sided with the Mongol horde and traded with them. And, the Golden Horde, right? Yeah. I'm not saying it as a derogatory thing, it's just what it's called. It wasn't until 1480 that they made campaigns against the Mongols. Muscovy was a vassal state to the Golden Horde, paying the Khans homage and tribute. Moscow eclipsed and eventually absorbed its parent principality, and later the other independent Russian principalities. So that's all they've ever been, is to a small player taking over other, principalities and claiming they are the legitimate Tsardom of Russia. They're not. They're traitors to Kievan Rus, sided with the Golden Horde, and then turned traitor to the Golden Horde to strike out on their own, and then attacked all their neighbors to control them. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, Muscovite Rus. So English names for Moscow: Muscovy for the city, the principality, and the river. If they were an independent state, they wouldn't have a prince. They would have a king. They unified with the Principality of Vladimir in the mid 14th century. If Russia was the state that they say they are. They wouldn't have princes, they wouldn't have duchess, they'd have kings and queens. They wouldn't call themselves princes or czars or anything like that. They'd be, the king and queen of Moscow. They're not. They're the princes. They were a principality and then later became a duchy. There you go. When the Mongols invaded the former lands of the Kievan Rus in the 13th century, Moscow was still a small town within the Principality of Vladimir Suzdal. Although the Mongols burnt down Moscow in the winter of 1238 and pillaged it in 1293, the outpost's remote forest location offered some security from Mongol attacks and occupation. So yeah, a minor town in the middle of nowhere, kind of like my town, became the head of Russia because they were able to side with the Mongols, even though they were raided and pillaged it a couple times. Doesn't go actually into it, but let me try searching. Yeah, here we go. Siege of Kiev in 1240. Between November 28th and the 6th of December 1240, Mongols sacked and burned Kiev to the ground. Let's see. Trying to find. Oh, here we go. Mongols chose to assault the city, destroyed the forces of the Rus vassals. Where? 500,000 or 50,000 inhabitants beforehand. 2,000 survived. Sounds very familiar tactic. What is left out here is that Russia, the Russians were allied with the Mongols at this time, and they were involved in the sacking of Kiev. Mm, so yeah, uh, Galician Volhylian Chronicle. I've read this before in college, and it goes very in depth into it. Novograd First Chronicle is another good history book, but um, you know, really hard to read because where's the word breaks? um, but they have translations of this in some of the college libraries. Um, it's a very interesting history with the Kievan Rus, Novogod, the Republic. Um, Oh, let me pull up a better picture than that, because that sucks. Well, there's that one. Uh, yeah, this one's probably the best one. So, when Kievan Rus monarchy fell, it became part of the other the Novgorod Republic, and then it further broke up Principality of. Okay, why is that different than the one I clicked on? Okay, that's annoying. Open image in new tab. That's weird. Yeah, you go to click on it and it opens up a new um it opens up something different than the image that it gives you, and that's just weird. Kursk, Kiev, uh uh Novgorod, still no Russia. Um Still no Moscow, I should say. Even maybe that says, I don't know. It's hard to see that one. Let's see if there's a better one here. So this is Novgorod Republic in almost 1500s. Novgorod here. Uh, there isn't any really good pictures that I'm finding right now, and unfortunately, I don't want to. What the heck? Okay, that's fitting. Russia's a zombie controlled, but I don't know who the heck made this map. Alternate history. Okay. See if I can zoom. PD zoom. There you go. 1326. Moscow finally shows up. And you couldn't even get to Kiev, to Moscow. You had to go up to Vladimir and then down to Moscow. Um, of course, Kiev, Chernigov, Novgorod. But yeah, Moscow didn't show up until 1326. Now, obviously, yeah, it's just um let's see. Yeah, 1300, Kiev, Chernigov, Novgorod, Ladova, and no Moscow. So this saying that you that Putin likes to say where Ukraine never existed. Well, here's a bunch of maps that show you that Ukraine existed, Moscow didn't. Yep. Um, Byzantine Empire was all throughout that area. Um, one of the things that made me interested in Kievan Rus and where I started to learn about medieval Ukraine was there's a story of Kiev sending a group of dignitaries to Byzantium, and the Byzantium king asked if they were Vikings, and their reply was, "I don't think so." And it just kind of struck me as funny, um, because you follow the old Dnieper River and it comes out here by Odessa, and Byzantium's right here. So they had a lot of trade with Byzantium, and um, Ukraine actually went into Sweden, or was it Finland? I cannot remember this. It's either Sweden or Finland, and asked ruling family, noble family in the Norse to come and rule over Ukraine. And that's where the Rus family comes from. Kievan Rus is a family from Norse with the spelling of Rhos, Ros. Um, so what was happening was like, the Vikings would go raid the United Kingdom and France and such, bring the loot back home, trade it with the Kievan Rus here in the Novgorod Republic and such later, and the Kievan Rus would sit there and bring it down to Byzantium to show that to pay tribute or whatever to trade. And so they asked, "Are you guys Vikings?" And like, "No, we don't think we are." It was just knowing the history, because they wouldn't have considered themselves Vikings, because Vikings is kind of a derogatory term in North. It basically means pirate. Um, so no, they weren't pirates. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that caught my attention. Is like, okay, that's kind of that's kind of funny, and that's where I started learning about Ukraine. Um, is that old story from a Byzantine ledger of meetings in for the religious authority in Byzantium. I forget the technical word for it, but um, one of the leaders of the Kievan Rus was deciding to get away from paganism and sent an emissary to Byzantium and an emissary to Rome, and ended up becoming Orthodox Christian instead of Roman Catholic because of the closeness. Is much easier to access Byzantium. And that's why Ukraine's an Orthodox Christian instead of based from Catholicism. It was just that's when I started learning about the history and studying it more, and um, yeah, that's where I began. Um, let's go. So you see, there's a ton of castles um, throughout the west of Ukraine. Um, some of these are from Kievan Rus times, some before, some after, but some are ruins. Some have been restored and are hotels now. Ruined. But this is what I was preparing to go visit Ukraine before the invasion. And these are the places I wanted to go check out. um, the arrow holes to shoot out of the castle. And this is what they look like from the inside. So just a little opening, and then you can angle yourself to shoot how you needed to and get the people attacking the castle. Um, the old gatehouse. And there are some beautiful castles. Unfortunately, they aren't restored like in the rest of Europe. But can you imagine going up the tower stairs with windows like that? Or how about that being your throne room? And, it's just there's so much history in Ukraine that people just don't realize. There you go. Nice overview of it. And you can see like kind of sort of see where the moat was around this castle. They built it up so you can just walk in instead of have a bridge. But, everybody thinks castles and they think, France and England and such, but, you know, the castles I think of are more like this. And you can see like someone's converted one of the side buildings of the castle into a home. So I'm guessing like that's the visitor center now. I would have loved to gone and see this during peacetime. I can only hope that after the war's over, they're still there. Um, One of my favorite castles in Ukraine is this one. It's called the Akhman Fortress, and it's right near the an interior, like an inlet from the Black Sea. So right there's the main keep. Um, some of the interior of it, the keep inside the main walls, some of the ruins from around it.
Античная Тира, Белгород-Днестровском, и вон фазанчик ходит.
This is actually a Byzantine castle. How's that for an entrance? I would have loved to go on and see this, but this is, um, Odessa is right here, and that fortress is right there, and then this is the old fort in Odessa. Years of neglect, and because Russia didn't want to, when the USSR was around, Russia didn't want to admit that there was a history that they weren't involved in, so a lot of this stuff was just left to decay. Uh, I'd love to go and do a tour of all these castles in peacetime. Uh, there's one, I can't remember the name of it, but it was converted into a hotel and is right smack in the middle of a city. No, not that one, obviously. Oh, is this straight out of like Dracula? Of course, just ruins, but what? That's kind of cool with the ivory covering part of it. A lot of this has been restoration work. Uh, the old cobble road going up to the castle entrance. I'd love to go and visit all these, but with the war going on, it's just I didn't think it was safe to do it. But I would love to go back and spend the rest of my life visiting these places. uh, I appreciate that. Oh, one place I want to show you if you guys end up going to Lviv. Uh, the arsenal. If you get the chance, this is the site of like the old town fort castle, and there's this restaurant called the Arsenal. Um, it's a rib joint, so vegetarians avoid. But oh my lord, um, you know these are all like ties. You're not allowed to wear a tie in the place. So if you come in wearing a tie, they take your tie and hang it. Um, but this used to be the fortress wall, the entrance to the fortress, and then this was the armor storage for the old fort. And now that is the restaurant entrance. And it is so. I needed a bib because I was drooling walking through this place. It was so cool. Um, but some of the best ribs I've had. There we go. See if the the grill spins. So the guy just sits there and cooks stuff, and the grill top spins, and you can go, okay, this one's ready. Hand it to the guy to be served, and um, yeah, it's oh. And like there's little displays like this all around it. Um, yeah, everybody's fascinated with the tie rack. Uh, there wasn't any outside. There's a better picture of the grill. There you go. There's some old armor for you. Yeah, they don't bother with napkins. They get straight up just do paper towels. It reminds me of like a American barbecue joint in a lot of ways, but like set in a castle. I mean, what more could you ask for? You know, wood fired grill and ribs after ribs after ribs. No, this. Okay. Oops. I can't show that bottle image. Okay, I did not see that. um, medieval axes and swords, shields. It's just one of those places. If you didn't know about it, you don't. That's a pretty cool place. If you're ever in Lviv, definitely worth checking out. Um, you know, the guy that the region's named after, Ivano Franko. But yeah, it's Lviv was, for the short time I was there, that's one place I wanted to go to and wanted to check out, and I got to. So, oh, excuse me. Uh, I spent a lot of time in Kiev. Um, Lubny was another town I got to spend some time in. I didn't do any videos from there, but um, nice, nice town. A little bit industrialized, but good town. Um, but I spent most of my time in Kiev, Boveri. Um, I did not make it out to Irpin or Bucha. Um, you got to leave something to go back for. Uh, oh, I did not go over the news for Ukraine. So Zelensky blasts the White House for leaking secret missile plan to New York Times. Confirmed Wednesday that he asked the United States for Tomahawk long-range missiles to help defeat Russia, and slammed the White House for leaking secrets to the American media. It's pretty straightforward. New York Times reported on Zelensky asking for the Tomahawks. Somebody leaked it, and it was our White House, because dumb. Anyways, about an hour ago, the Associated Press reported that North Korean troops are in Russian uniforms heading towards Ukraine. In Turetsk, Ukrainians demolish an entire buildings filled with Russians. Shrugging off record high losses, Russian forces are advancing along several critical axes, and this is Ukraine's response. You're going to occupy a building, we'll take out the building. Civilians aren't living there because everybody's been evacuated out of that town. So, go for it. Torture is a Russian tactic in occupied Ukraine, civilians say. We've known that since Bucha. What more can I say? Women charged for their 10-year-old daughter's pro-Ukraine video. Yeah. I hate to say it, but I gotta go to the restroom. So I'm going to end the stream here. Play the intro for you. And I'm going to... No. Of course, I gotta screw it up. Camera. I say good night, everybody. Na dobranic and razum de peramojimo. Together to victory. Good night, everybody.